Welcome to Fear with Christine Spratley. Living like a head in charge, the podcast where Christine says fear, questions everything, and takes bold action. Christine Spratley is a former professional boxer, nanny, and 29-plus year corporate warrior turned founder of HBIC Advisors, where she is a public speaker and coach. She's been saying fear her whole life, many times without even realizing it. So tune in, spread the word, and get ready, because this isn't about aging with grace. It's about aging with mischief, audacity, and having a damn good story to tell.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Tubbs. Oh, Joe, it feels good to be back in here. Are you ready to do our shots?
Yes, all right.
And Joe, what does it say? Come on now.
Immortality.
Immortality.
That seems like an overreach.
In a lot more ways than one. Okay, this is a cheers because I need to wake my ass up.
All right, here we go.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Cheers, here we go. Oh.
There's a lot of pepper in there.
I was a blood pepper that this morning. Ooh, for those of you who don't know, we don't do shots. I'm recovering. And if we did shots, that would make this quite...
Oh, it's just immunity.
It's just immunity. That's something Donald Trump gives out. Anyway.
What's this?
Yeah. What's this shit? Okay, well, today, it feels like it's been forever, and it has been a long time since I've been in the studio, because I have been over the pond for a speaking gig in Paris, and then went to Barcelona, actually outside of Barcelona, Valls, to see a friend of mine. So today, of course, I had something planned, and then reality hit, and today, we're going to talk about a mug that I sent out. I sent it out last Friday, but I'd actually found it a while ago for my mugshots. And for those people that don't know, my mugshots are most every morning. I've done it pretty consistently. But most every morning, I send out a coffee mug. It's not an actual mugshot. Although, Joe, do you remember those little newspapers that you used to... Not newspapers, but it was like a newspaper where they'd have everybody's mugshot in them, like of your neighbor and shit.
I remember something like that at the post office.
Yeah, well, they used to have them at like the not the 7-Eleven, but the convenience store or whatever they're called, the quickie gas and pump or whatever. And you'd walk in and you'd be like, you'd see the cashier in there one day, and you'd be like, hey, here's your picture. But anyway, all it was like, who got arrested that weekend? Anyway, this is not what the mugshot crew is. The mugshot crew is you basically get a mugshot from me, a coffee mug, a shot of a coffee mug. And Joe, how would you describe them? Would they be, because they're all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, they're funny, they're sarcastic, they're irreverent.
Sometimes they're inspirational. Sometimes they're just fuck off. It really is a little bit about my mood that day. And I try to pick them out early, but typically what happens is I pick them out and then I'm like, ooh, I'm not in that mood. And so I decide not to send them, find something else. But this was one that I had actually picked up a while ago. And it was really funny because I picked it up before I went to Paris. So I was supposed to go to Paris and speak there and then go. I have a friend that lives in Valls, Spain, and she's like, come on down, use your points, get the Delta, well, it's Air France, but the Delta flight down and, come see me and stay. And so I did that. So I had all of these ideas about what I wanted from my Paris trip, right? I was going to go speak and blah, 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 blah. I have just enough time in corporate to, put my corporate brain on and think I need to have everything lined up. And to say that I lined everything up, as you can tell from my last podcast when I left, was not the case. But the mugshot that I sent out is a quote from Maya Angelou. It says, ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. So ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. And I was thinking about that because on two fronts. One, a lot of times we ask for what we want, but I'm in no way, shape, or form prepared to even deal with it. to know how to handle it. I want the big, you may be in business and in corporate or whatever, and you want success and you want this, but you don't know what it's like to be in those rooms. You're not prepared to be there. We talked about being ready, you're never really ready, but are you prepared? And in a relationship, I have a friend who we were talking and he's like, I don't think, I really didn't know if women really wanted a nice man. They say they want all this guys to treat them this way, but, and so we've had these conversations about, are they prepared? Have you done the work you've done so you know what goodness is when it comes? So this got driven home to me because I was going to go to Paris and I was going to speak, and it was going to be this type of event, all these things, right? And this is what I was going to get. And really what I wanted out of it was I wanted to meet good people. I wanted to have a good, keynote speech that I gave. And it was a shortened keynote. It was only 25 minutes, not the full 45 to 60 that I sometimes give, or 50 usually. But I wanted to hone it, right? And then I wanted to go see my friend. But there were all these other things I was asking for in my life. And I say that because I always think that when I show up, I'm going to get the things that I've asked for that specific event or that specific, I was in Paris, so these are the things that I want to accomplish. Nothing else is going to be given to me, And so it was underwhelming, to say the least, from my perspective. But I got the things that I wanted. I got my keynote. I got it framed up really well. It went off really great. I met some amazing people, but overall it was just pretty underwhelming for me. But what I had been asking for, that was kind of this trip to visit my friend, was a side trip. But I'd been asking for is, hey, I really need some time to kind of heal. This last year has been hard for me. As Joe, and other people know, I go way too hard and way too long and way too fast. And my back has been just horrendous. Epidural didn't kick in. So I'm getting ready to do a nerve test or nerve study or something like that. And then they can do surgery after that. So I was just like, so I'd been asking for I need some downtime. I need some things. So I went to Valls and I spent time with my friend Maisie. And when I say it was, there's hippie over here, the hippie.
Sure.
and stuff, but they just do it different over there. That's their way of life. I sit here and say, I don't give a fuck. You don't know what it's what it's like to not give a fuck until you're around people that really don't give a fuck. You don't realize how much you give a fuck about shit until you're around people that just don't. And they didn't. And Grisella and Maisie and Joseph and just Matt, Max, he was this guy from Germany that was volunteering, because over there they volunteer for 4 hours a week, and they learn how to grow organic crops. They're, like I said, they're hippies. So there was, they have indoor plumbing and all that, but they want you to use outdoor as much as possible. So we was, like a good farm girl, I know how to piss in the woods, and, but it was so incredible to see how my body, for one, reacted, but mainly just me and my soul really reacted. I got up every morning and I swang on the swing, and I couldn't push because I couldn't bend back and stuff, but it was just wonderful. And we went to a festival, and it was just a little community festival, and just everybody they just didn't care. Kids were running everywhere, but they weren't acting a fool, and other parents were policing the kids as well. You didn't have anybody running after them hey, it was just a really unique experience. And the time that I got to spend with her walking, we did a lot of walking, and it's the healing that I needed that I didn't know I needed, you know? And I like that Maya Angelou quote because I had been asking for peace over a lot of things. And I had been asking for just some quietness in my brain and in my mind and in my soul. And I so got that. I mean, a week and a day ago, because it's today, we're taping this on Monday. It'll go out tomorrow. But so not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, I was over in Spain and I was swimming in the Mediterranean Ocean, Mediterranean Sea. And I was butt naked because they don't wear clothes over there. And what was so crazy is like, it's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. And so it was not a thing for me. And I'm there and I'm doing it. And I felt so complete and so whole and so wonderful. I haven't felt that solid in myself in so long. I didn't have, and it's one thing to like decide, okay, I'm gonna go skinny dipping or whatever. And okay, over there, it's not even skinny dipping because it's just, they're all there doing it. But it was like, there was no amount of me that was self-conscious. I didn't even think about it. I didn't look at other people. I was in, it was amazing warm water, just cool enough, but just wonderful. And I went with Maisie and the lady that owns the place that she lives on, and then Max, the German guy who's like a little kid. Max is like this. He he goes and like he got up the first day I met Max. He came for breakfast at like 2:00. Yeah, and then he got up the next morning at like 7 to go do some, cut some bushes for her on the farm or whatever. But it's just very kid-like and again, it was just this whole feeling of just being complete and being okay. And I didn't know I needed it. I knew I wanted it, but I didn't know what it was going to look like, where it was going to come from, how it was going to happen. But I knew I wanted it. And I mean, it was funny because it started and I met some amazing people. That's the other thing is I can't tell you the people. I've got pictures of all the people I met. On the train down, I met 2 wonderful women from Germany, younger women, I would say in their 30s. They just decided to be in Barcelona and ride down and go to the beach for the day and, for the long weekend or whatever. And just so much fun on the train. And I didn't know where the hell I was going. The signs on the train on the inside of the train were out. So they were just kind of telling me, just take it till it ends. Just don't get off. And of course I got off too soon. I don't listen to directions. But again, just wonderful, amazing people. And then I met some people down there. Honey, the young woman that checked me in at the hotel, and Nona, the other woman that was there, the young woman that she checked me in the second time because I stayed at Barcelona and then went down to Valls and then came back. And David and Mohammed from the hotel, I just stayed at the Moxie next to the train station. And it was just incredible. It was just so much fun.
Your event doesn't just need a host. It needs a ringmaster of energy. Christine Spratly reads the room and keeps the momentum rolling like a damn orchestra conductor. With insight, humor, and a splash of mischief, she'll make sure your event isn't just organized, it's electric. After Christine takes the stage, your audience will be fully present, fired up, and not scrolling on their phones. Book her now at christinespratly.com.
So I'm at the train station waiting to talk to a ticket agent to get my ticket to Valls. And there's this one, they're all lined up over there and they're behind this glass. And there's one that's just very animated. An older guy, older than me, I'd say. I don't know how old he was. But he had gray hair, bald, thinner gentleman. And just, you could tell he was I don't know if I have this sense, Joe, but like, because I'm so sarcastic because I give people shit on a regular basis, but like he was giving the people that walked up to his thing, he was giving them shit, and he was giving the people at the counter next to him shit. It was so funny. And I could just tell. Now, I couldn't tell what he was saying. So then I started, because I was in a good mood. So I was dancing and yeah, that was me at the train station. But again, I was just, and then he started kind of dancing with me and it was just making the gestures back and forth and just funny. And again, it was one of those things where, am I prepared to receive it? Am I prepared to get it? All that stuff that I wanted, all that joy, all that healing, all the feeling of being okay with who I am I prepared to get it? If I don't look in other places and I look right there and I'm experiencing right there? Because otherwise I would have had a predetermined idea of what my trip to Spain was going to be like. It was going to be about this. It was going to be about Barcelona. It was going to be, and it wasn't. I mean, this is how much fun we had. So when we were swimming, we're getting ready to, we're all drying off and, just kind of walking around, and Max is still out there in the water. And all of a sudden I go walk and I come back and down the beach, and they hold up this, like a twist shoe thing, like a tug war for your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it was something like that, but it had all these muscles on it. And they're like, that's what we're having for dinner. You found muscles in the freaking bottom of whatever. Like, who does that? And it was just one of those things where I didn't know that's where I was going to find it. But I was prepared. I had prepared myself for it. I had set the turd down. We talked about that last time. I'd set the turd down. I'd gotten to be where my feet were at. And I can't tell you how much I needed it. And so today is going to be a real short one, but it's just, again, it's about, you ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. And sometimes that means, for me, be prepared to get it in the packaging that you didn't think it was going to come in. And the places and the people that you didn't realize were the carriers of what you've asked for. And I came back on a Tuesday. I went and packed up my house stuff from where my husband and I used to live. On Wednesday, started moving stuff back. It's just all shit. And then Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Thursday, Friday, tried to move my stuff in from my old place that I was renting to this new place. And Saturday, it's like I told you, Joe, the movers were supposed to be there for just a few hours, get the stuff from my old house with my ex and move it to my new place. And I'm on the 4th floor there and at my new place, and elevator went out. But again, the guys were great. Oh my God, they were so troopers. They were such troopers. But I don't think I would have been able to go through last week if it hadn't have been for the week before that. And it wasn't my time in Paris. It was actually my time in Valls with Maisie and the wonderful people on that little farm down there and the wonderful people on the train. So I'm getting ready to wrap up, but I'll tell you this. So you know me. I'm usually late. Now, I never used to be, by the way. But I'm always something, comedy of errors. So we're getting ready to leave. My train gets delayed back to Barcelona. So we're going to have lunch. By the way, the lunches are amazing. Like, they would make nothing, and it would just be the most amazing tasting thing I've had. So we have lunch, and we get talking, and we get laughing, and I totally forget that I'm supposed to be watching the time. And next thing you know, and I think we're going out of Valls, and we're really going out of Tarragona, come to Tarragona, and train. So that's like 30 minutes away. Valls is 10. So my brain is not watching the clock to begin with. And then 2, I'm thinking we're 10 minutes away when we're really 30. So Grisella, she goes, what time is it? And all of us just panic. And she has this 20-year-old car. And the best way I can describe it is like a Dodge Omni. You remember those? I don't know if you remember those.
That was my first car.
I had a Dodge Omni, and it had an AM radio station, so I can sing all of that 50s and 60s music and 40s. But it was like a farmer's Dodge Omni where it was dirt. I mean, it was beat this shit up. And she whips around. I throw my stuff in, and she hauls ass. And now she's hauling ass, but the car's not hauling ass. So we get there, and she's like telling me, you have to run. This is what you have to do. This is, you cannot miss this. And she is very directive on that. And she's like, you don't have time to hug Maisie. You just got to go. So I get through, and I'm running down there. And so I see a bunch of people. So I'm assuming, wrong thing to do, assuming this is my train, right? Not really paying attention, but assuming. So they start kind of boarding some people, but not everybody's getting up. So I go up there, and I'm like, hey, and I show her my pass, because I'm looking on the board, and the board says you're just going to leave at like, 10:50, or it was actually 2:58 or 2:52. And it was like 2:50. And I was like, man, that's like there should be more people. Like, what's going on? And so I show her my pad, and she's like, no, down. And so she tells me to run down. And of course, it was the platform over. So I had to run down, and I get there, and the train hadn't come yet. I didn't know if it had come or it had already gone. But I was just going to, I knew the next one was going to come sometime. So I was going to ride whatever train it was that came. I was going to get on and ride it to Barcelona. So I'm sitting there, and again, I always say this, you never 5 minutes too early, or you're not 10 minutes too late. I get there, and this lady comes up next to me, and she sits down, and she says, she, thinks I speak Spanish. Actually, it's Catalan, where I was staying, and it's not Spanish. And so and I said, I speak English. And she says, so she speaks English. She's a teacher down there. And actually she teaches in Mallorca. And so we get talking, and she says, should I get on this train, my next train, that I'm on the next one, but I don't want to take the next one. And she's like, it's, there had been something mixed up with her ticket, so they put her on the last train out. And so I was like, get on till they tell you to get off. You know me, Joe. And so she gets on, and we're both, we don't know where the cars are at and what. So we just sit down, and it's a high-speed train. So the deal is, I told her, I said, get on, and if you can get on long enough for the doors to close and for us to leave, it doesn't stop. So you're on. You're good. I mean, they may make you stand, but you're on. They're not going to throw mama from the train. But we ended up started talking, and just she had gone through a divorce a couple years earlier, and so we had a lot to talk about there. But then I was telling her about my podcast, and she was like, what's the name of it? And I said, Fuck Fear, with me, living like a head bitch in charge. And then she says, no. And she shows me her WhatsApp app. And basically her mantra is basically fuck fear. And again, and so we get off the train in Barcelona, and her brother, who's five years younger, maybe a little bit more than that, younger than her, is going to pick her up. And I'm like, my hotel's right next door. So I'm like, well, don't wait here. Just, if he's not here, because he was having a hard time getting in because of traffic, I said, just come over to the hotel, and you can hang out with me at the hotel. And so she comes over, we walk over to the hotel, and we're we're standing outside. He finally pulls up, and just like a big sister, she's like, take a picture, take a picture. So we get into this picture, and then she's straightening his shirt and his undershirt. She's like, oh, you look like shit, you know? And he's just like trying to brush her off. And we just had an amazing, you know, so now she's like, you need to come over, you need to stay in Morocco with me, you need to do this and blah, 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 blah. And again, those things that I wanted, that I had been asking for, were given to me. But they didn't come in the packaging that I thought. And so I talk to people now, and I'm on the flight from Barcelona to Charles de Gaulle. And then I'm going to catch my flight home from CDG to the States. And I get in, and I see this guy and his wife next to him, and I can tell they're American. And I'm sitting across the aisle from him, and it says something ag, America ag or something on his jacket. So I'm like, ag, I know farmer, like I can talk ag. So I, of course, start talking to him, and we had him and his wife. I think they've been married. They had met two couples that had been married a long time. One was 45 and one was going to be 30 years. I mean, we're talking, that's a long time. I think this was 30. Brian, guys, I'm sorry if I get this wrong. But we started talking, and they did the cutest thing right when we were getting ready to land. And they didn't even know they did it. And I took a picture of it. And I didn't let them see me take a picture of it, but I took a picture of it, and then I cropped it, and then I sent it to them. And they were holding each other's hands. Like, he held her hand, and he leaned over and he kissed it. And, you know, it was butt-ass early flight. And I thought it was so cool that he did that. And I thought, after all this time, and then we got off, and it was so funny because she was telling him where to go all this time. And it was just so cool. And I got pictures, and I got their information. And, you know, they're farmers. They're potato farmers in Idaho. And, but again, just where do you get what you've asked for? And are you prepared to receive it? And what amount of it is going to come to you today? But if you're not prepared to receive it, if you're looking in the wrong places, from the wrong people, from the wrong job, from the wrong situation, are you prepared? Are you prepared to move from the job to the next job to get what you want? Are you prepared to leave the relationship or get into a relationship to get what you want? You know, are you prepared to walk across to someone who thinks, looks, and acts differently than you to get what you want, the sense of community, the sense of belonging, and all of that? Are you willing to do that? And so that's what I talk about today. That's it. There's no big, you know, storyline here. It's just, you know, ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. And celebrate when you do, because I always get what I need. I always get what I need. And usually I've learned that what I need is typically what I really want. So ladies, gentlemen, until next time, Tubbs.
Thanks for tuning in to Fear with Christine Spradley. Living like a head in charge. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, tell her what topics you want to hear, and share this episode with someone who could use a pantry full of boldness in their life. Remember, life isn't about aging with grace. It's about aging with mischief, audacity, and having a damn good story to tell. So show up, take action, and keep saying fear.